of course, this might still be okay. They might win the NLDS. They might win the pennant, might go to the series and win it. All of that's still in play. But today is an embarrassment. Today is absolutely awful as they start their bye week a couple days early. Depending on tomorrow, maybe 3 days early. They have lost 7 of their last 10. They have lost 8 of their last 12 games as we welcome you to Phillies Post Game Live, presented by Cure Auto Insurance. Ricky Bo, try to put a bow on this. I don't even know what to say. It's awful.
You want a bow on it? Wheeler pitched well. And even with that, he goes back out there to try to get his 200 innings. It was just one of those things. He made one bad pitch in his ball game, and it gets hit out of the ballpark, and it was to the opposite field. So, I mean, you look at Zack Wheeler and you say, you know what? Great season, Zach. That's what I take out of this game. I just felt like you're getting a lot of lazy at-bats, a lot of non-existent at-bats. And, we may hear that it wasn't great seeing the baseball, but it doesn't matter. You got to figure that out because guess what? In the playoffs, if you get stuck with a 3 or 4 o'clock game, this is exactly what you're going to have to live through, some bad lighting.
Yeah, well, I don't want to blame this on the Shadows to be sure, but Ruben, you look at their last 7 or 8 losses, 9-1, 10-4, 2-1, 10-6, 2-1, 6-2. They should be getting more runs on the whole than they have gotten over the past 10, 12 games.
Well, there's no question that their offense has not been doing the job as it had in the first half of this season. You see the rankings have dropped fairly significantly since halfway through the year, since the All-Star break. And in fact, the last couple of months, they just haven't been putting together the kind of offense that you would hope them to have. There's a lot of guys in the lineup that are just struggling right now, and when the big boys in the front part of the lineup aren't getting a job done as they typically would be, then you sort of relying on the guys in the back end, the Stotts and the Marshes of the world, and those guys really have not picked it up either. So hopefully this is all just a blip in the action, and that they can get things rolling during the course of the playoffs.
One stat that you never expect to see from the Phillies going up against the Nationals is 0 for 1 with runners in scoring position. That was it.
Yeah.
This was a boring, terrible offensive game for the Phillies.
Mm-hmm. Let's go down to D.C., check in with John Kruk, call today's game with Tom McCarthy. John, they have the number 2 overall seed in the National League. That is that. Other than that, it seems to be not encouraging at this point as they go in. Even if they win tomorrow, the number of games they've lost in fairly short order seems to be a little concerning, no?
Yeah, it is. Look, Trey hits the big home run. Jeff Hoffman, who has been so dependable all season, didn't pitch well this afternoon. But, it's concerning with how the offense is swinging the bats. And I agree, shadows are one thing, but there were shadows for the Nationals too. And they had to face, arguably the best pitcher, if not the second best pitcher this year in the National League, in Zack Wheeler. It was a poor offensive performance, execution. You can't even blame situational hitting because, like Rick said, they didn't get anyone in scoring position. So it was, it was a tough one to watch for sure.
John, I mean, the one thing you do take out of this is something from Zack Wheeler. I just want to get your thoughts on him, not just today, but on the whole season. And, I mean, what he really meant to this ball club this year. Well,
when your ace pitches like an ace and puts himself in the running for a Cy Young Award, and now it's just up to the voters to see how that plays out. But, it's a pleasure just watching him compete. And, yes, he gave up the 2-run homer to James Wood, but, what he's done this entire season is he finished the season healthy. He's going into the postseason pitching great. Like I said, he's healthy. He posts up every single start. It's definitely what an ace does. 200 innings, over 200 strikeouts. I think we should feel, as his career goes on, that we've been lucky enough to be able to cover him like we have.
John, one of the things that's really concerning me offensively are the strikeouts. I know they had another 12, I think, today. It seems like they've been averaging somewhere between, 9 and 13 strikeouts per game over the last couple of weeks. Is there something that they can do? Is there a mindset that they can have that might change that? Because they're going to try to be exploited during the course of the playoffs.
Yeah, that's the concern. And, nothing good happens after a strikeout, really. I mean, unless, wild pitch or whatever gets past the catcher somehow. That's the only good thing can happen on a strikeout. But they need to start putting the ball in play more. They need to when you watch how these two games have played out, the team that they're playing, they are so aggressive on the bases. They're taking the extra base. They're putting pressure on the Phillies defensively. But I think, and I was never on teams that we struck out a ton, but when you're struggling to score runs, sometimes you think, I have to do it. I call him the hero at bats. I got to hit a home run here to make up for our lack of offense. And luckily tonight we got one from Trey that tied the game up. But I think these guys need a reset. This offense needs a reset. They need to go, back to the basics. Basically, what I'm saying is they need to go back to the basics. Think the other way, up the middle the other way. If you get out in front of one, great. But if not, take what they're giving you and just try to put the ball in play and make things happen. Home runs are great, but, man, you string together 3 or 4. And, Rick, as a pitcher, you give up a solo home run. Okay, well, now let's move on to the next here. You give up 2 or 3 hits in a row, all of a sudden you're thinking, oh, my God, what do I do now? That's what the Phillies need to get back to. They're not stringing hits together lately, and you can see the results, with the lack of runs they've been scoring.
John, they were 8-2 against Washington coming into yesterday. Now they're 8-4. They lose tomorrow, and who the heck knows? Nola's on the mound tomorrow. They'd be 8-5. The 1 through 5 hitters were 3 for 19. That's 158. But what's more concerning is you got a guy like Zack Wheeler gives up 2 runs today. He gives up 2 runs in his last start at Citi Field, and they can't get more than that to get him a win. I just don't know what an off week, which has been problematic for teams in baseball since they started this format. You think an off week's going to help them?
Can it hurt them?
Yeah, I guess you're right. You know what?
Great point.
Yeah, great point. It can't get much worse than losing 7 out of 10 and 8 out of 12.
Yeah, I think these next 5 days they have to find themselves, and like I said, that hopefully it starts tomorrow with Aaron pitching, but they need the great reset. Now we're in Washington. The great reset. We need to reset and go back and get back to what they have done to make them successful this season, and not look at these last week or so and say, okay, no, are we still going to struggle? No, they got to figure it out, and I think they have the talent down there to do it. I think they have the talent that says, okay, enough's enough. The postseason's coming up. We got to get going.
I think they need a pep talk from John Martin Kruk down there in the clubhouse right now and talk to them. Okay. I tried.
I'll be on the bus getting out of here, I believe.
They'd listen to you, though. I'm telling you. All right, buddy. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
Safe trip home, my friend.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, man.
All right.
See you all tomorrow.
See you all tomorrow. Thank you. Chasing October, presented by your local Tri-State Toyota dealers, proud partners of the Philadelphia Phillies. And look at this. As the Phils fall into the number 2 seed, Ricky and Ruben, they're now 2.5 back of the Dodgers, but no matter, they are locked in there. So they've got, a matchup with the Mets or the Diamondbacks, and I don't like either of those options,
It could be the Braves, too, by the way. You keep forgetting the Braves are stuck in that, too. They're in a situation where the whole thing's going to go down to the last minute anyways. It looks like it's going to go down to that Mets-Braves series on Monday. So, hey, you know what? Sometimes games could be fun in certain situations, especially when you're watching from afar.
Yeah, we shall see, certainly. And the bottom line is, good news that they're going to the playoffs. They've got the number 2 seed. That's all great, but you can't ignore the trend of the losses over the last 12 games.
I mean, Mackenzie Gore is no Cy Young, and he's not even a Cliff Lee, if you will. But Phillies had a lot of problems with him today.
When you look at earned run average, it's an average per 9 innings. His is over 4. They should be able to handle that. I saw some of those pitches. They look pretty darn good. But the fact is, they're the fighting Phillies.
Well, I mean, you got to give some credit to Mackenzie Gore tonight. Again, they did not have very good offensive approach today. But again, this guy really does have a very good arm. His last couple of outings were pretty good. I mean, there's a reason why he was a very, very high round pick. This guy's got a hell of an arm. But the fact of the matter is they do need to have a little bit better, more competitive at bats because they're going to face this type of pitching, guys with this kind of stuff in the playoffs, and they're going to have to battle and put the ball in play a little bit more often or a lot more often in order for them to get opportunities to score runs. And as John said, it's all about stringing hits together and putting pressure on the defense because if they can do that, I mean, this is a super dangerous lineup. There's no question about it when guys make mistakes. But if they're not making mistakes and they're executing, it's going to be tough unless they make those adjustments.
A topic we have brought up while watching the games, a topic that Tom McCarthy brought up this afternoon, and while showing Kevin Long, who is the hitting instructor for the Phillies, is there a need for better instruction from the hitting instructor? I know you got racehorses and thoroughbreds there, and maybe you don't think you need to teach them how to run, but they're struggling.
I just think that the whole thing about the hitting coaches, I think they're scapegoats. I think a lot of these guys obviously have their own hitting coaches and they're private hitting coaches. So I think when it gets here, it's basically a guy just trying to keep guys on track somehow. And I mean, you saw it, last week with Schwarber in the cage. They showed it on national TV, what he goes through during the innings. And that's always with a hitting coach. I mean, some guys are comfortable with a guy, some guys aren't. That's just the way it is. It's the same way with pitching coaches. Some guys like their pitching coach. Other guys are like, don't bother me ever. I mean, because sometimes you just don't want to be bothered. And if you see something on video, you could fix that yourself. But I just think you could blame whoever you want. This is I put it directly on the players.
Ruben?
Yeah, to me, I mean, listen, coaches are important and they do affect the team quite a bit, but they can't swing the bat for you and they can't make the pitches for you. And listen, it's a difficult job. It is. There's no question about it. What is curious about this team is that they either go like the entire team is going really well, and then the entire team is going poorly. It's just a strange. Usually, you have 2 or 3 guys get hot and the other guys get cold, and vice versa. But this is been a very strange year in that in the early part of the season, I mean, everybody was going guns a-blazing. And then in the latter part of the season, almost everybody got cold other than Castellanos. I mean, you literally had one guy who kind of stayed in there, and Bohm a little bit as well, but then he trailed off at the end. So it's been a strange offensive year. They are, like I said, they are extremely talented. They have a lot of ability, and they're super dangerous because every one of those guys in that lineup can do damage, and they have. But they haven't been doing it consistently as of late, and hopefully they can kick it in.
Just 2 runs in a game like this, I think you just say, you know what, I did what I could do. I made that one mistake. What else could I have done? And the answer is nothing.
6 1/3 innings pitched, 3 hits, 2 earned runs, 11 strikeouts, 97 pitches. And look at the bottom line. He got his 200 innings pitched. 16-7, 2.57 ERA in 32 starts this season. But moreover, look at the quality starts, which is best in baseball. That means he threw 6 innings or more and allowed 3 runs or less. 25 of those this season, which is best in Major League Baseball, Ruben.
I mean, the man is a GM and manager's dream. I mean, this guy, if you're not, I mean, you got to think about the guys that have pitched and had a lot of success here in Philadelphia. You talk about Kurt Schilling. I mean, Steve Carlton, that's a different, another world. But you start thinking about Schilling, Roy Halladay, Cliff Lee at times. This guy has been automatic and one of the most consistent pitchers in all of baseball.
How much of this is right here?
He just had a tough day. That's it. I'm not worried about.
I don't mean Hoffman. I mean the team in general.
Team in general, I think
8 out
there
of 12.
And I'm going to say this, and I don't know this for a fact, but there could be a shutdown. I mean, like literally, you gotten to the point where you clinched the division, and that could shut a lot of guys down until it's time to play real games. They don't feel like these are real games right now.
Yeah, I mean, there's a human element here that you have to think about, and to me, you're right, Ricky. I think that there was a little bit of an exhale. And listen, I know we know we're in. We know we're looking forward because the regular season doesn't mean that much to us. It's really about what we do in the playoffs, and I think that's where all of their focus is going to be. And you're hopeful that they can flip that switch because, and some teams can. These are veteran guys, so you have to believe that they have the ability to do that, and hopefully they will.
What you two both just said, I'm hanging my hopes on. I buy it. Former all-star pitcher, former player, general manager, coach. I buy that.
But let me put it this way. We've come to areas where the season's coming to an end, and you know it's coming to an end. And it's like, oh, man, I'm having a good year. I wonder if I'm going to pitch in these games here at the end, and especially if they're kind of out of control. Because, if there was, an 8-run game and I was closing, I wanted no part of it at that point during the year.
Yeah, it's human nature. I mean, it really is. And you want to think that these guys are going to grind through every single at-bat, but they did. They did for the 95% of this season and put themselves in a great position during the course of this playoff run, and hopefully they can get the job done when they have to.
You heard John Kruk say during the telecast of a bloop foul ball. Sometimes this point in the season, you don't want him to go foul. You want him to go straight and be caught so you don't have to keep with the at-bat. I get it. Does Rob Thomson get it? You would think so. Here he is post-game.
Did you say anything to Zach when he came out there and gets a 200, another 2-run start?
I just told him it's been a hell of a year. I mean, that's Cy Young worthy for me.
Did this seem like he got to an even higher level this season? Did this feel like the prior seasons he's had as a Philly, or what?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, just the combination of stuff and in command. It's been really, really consistent. You throw a couple of games out, and the numbers are even greater.
Is there any thought about not sending him out there for the 7th? I mean,
No, his pitch count was in pretty good shape, and I probably would have given him the next guy if I had to, but then that would have been it.
Unfortunate to not get him some run support on a day like this.
Yeah, really. I mean, it's well enough to win. One bad pitch, really, to the left fielder was really strong. But that's the way it is.
The numbers between Sale and Wheeler are kind of close, but the one thing he really separates is his innings pitched, maybe like 23 right now.
Yeah.
Innings pitched.
Yeah.
How much does workload matter to you guys?
Matters to me, because it really limits the workload on your bullpen. And as long as you're good, you're productive, and he is. He's one of the most productive guys in all baseball. So, yeah. Quality starts. I mean, it's not even close. So, there's a lot of great things in there.
What was going on with Harper and Ferrari in the 8th?
I don't know. I guess they're just jawing each other for something. I don't know.
Okay.
Couple of quiet offensive games.
Yeah.
You're gonna have 5 days off there. Does that concern you at all, just leading into that?
No, I mean, yesterday's coming off an off day, and sometimes that's a little bit tough when you're not working. And today it was a lot of shadows, and Gore was really good, so I don't want to take anything away from him. And he's been pitching well too. So yeah, but it was nice to see Trey get a ball up in the air and ball out.
Did you guys get any word, maybe a better idea about Hayes' back?
Yeah, he can play to tolerance.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's feeling a little bit better, but there's nothing structural going on.
Okay.
But he play tomorrow?
I got to think about that one because I don't,
Yeah. Would maybe not make sense.
Yeah, but I don't have all the details yet.
You guys locked into the number 2 seed.
Yeah.
You lost today. Does that matter to you?
Not really. I mean, it would have been nice to have home field advantage throughout, but we've won on the road before too, and we just got to go out and play.
Cy Young worthy season. And when you look at innings pitched this season, Seth Lugo, this is across baseball, Lugo, Webb, Gilbert, and there's Zack Wheeler at 200 with Aaron Nola, tomorrow's starter, just behind. But when you talk about innings pitched, and Rob Thomson was asked, does the workload matter between Sale and Wheeler? Thomson said, does to me. It's a workload that's less on the bullpen, and it's almost 4 quality starts.
Yeah, it absolutely
more for Wheeler.
I think Rob's 100% right. I think you look at the quality starts. That to me should be one of the biggest keys that everybody looks at. Instead, the analytics people go straight to the WAR thing, and it's sometimes it's just garbage. In my eyes, I look at Wheeler and I know he could pitch. You watch the way he pitches and watch how he could just be dominant. Most of the time, just with a fastball. I mean, that's a pitcher to me. Yeah. Chris Sale, I mean, he's a flamethrower right now. But I mean, when you're pitching 22 less innings, I think that should definitely come into play.
I have a great deal of respect for Chris Sale because he's a great competitor and he's had a hell of a year, an outstanding year, and it's a Cy Young worthy year. But I do believe that your best ability is availability and consistency. And there's not been a more consistent pitcher over the last 2 months, especially, and throughout the year, than Zack Wheeler. It's as simple as that. He got screwed in 21 because he should have been the Cy Young Award winner. There was a difference in like 46 innings when Burns won that. I don't, for the life of me, understand how it is even humanly possible that he did not win the Cy Young that year. And I think he probably should really be the Cy Young Award winner this year. Just my opinion. My opinion doesn't matter, but in my opinion, I think this guy deserves to be the Cy Young Award winner this season.
And you look at this is his 5th season with the Philadelphia Phillies, 2-time All-Star, starting in 21, 14-10, 12-7, 13-6, 16-7 this season at 200 innings pitched. Zack Wheeler in the clubhouse in D.C.
You appreciate them letting you get to 200, and whether was that something that you really wanted to get to this year?
Yeah, I mean, there's always a goal coming in, and then me and Tom Bird talked about it a couple of days ago, I think it was, and it's kind of what we decided on. Just my pitch count wasn't too high, and stress and all that type of stuff. He's going to let me get to that and just shut it down right after that. So that's what we ended up doing.
And what does that number mean to you, especially at this point in your career, where that was something you weren't really doing when you were a younger pitcher?
Yeah, I mean, this is the goal these days is coming, get 200 innings, 200 strikeouts, and get some wins. Just try to help the team as best as I can. And I feel like if I'm doing that, then I'm helping the team. And this is personal goals, so you have personal and team goals, and the team goals is one goal, and that's to win the World Series, no matter how it's done.
How did you evaluate your season as a whole?
It was good. I didn't feel as consistent as the numbers probably look, but I got the job done, and I'm happy with it.
You guys are going to come at it from a different, better position this year. How do you feel about where you guys are coming into things and the upside of saving some bullets, not having to do the first round?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really matter to us. It's win the series and just keep it moving.
I know that your goals as a team were win the division, clinch the bye. Now you're locked into the 2 seed. Does that matter 2 versus 1? Or?
We'd like home field advantage, but it's not the end of the world. So, yeah, I mean, we still got home field advantage for a little bit of it at least, and we just got to get there. So we'll worry about that later.
What do you think your chances are for Cy Young, or what kind of case did you think you made for yourself coming down the stretch?
I did the best I could. Chris had a really good year also, and he's deserving of it for sure. So, it's pretty cool to see him kind of come back from missing the past 4 years or whatever it was. So, good for him, and I'm happy to see him, be back to Chris Sale. It's pretty cool.
And then I think your last 11 starts, 6 or more innings, 2 or fewer runs. I guess, are you happy with the way you're throwing the ball as you kind of go into next week?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously 1-0s, but yeah, I mean, I'm happy with it, and just try to keep the momentum going.
You pitch on your 7th day in game 1. Like, what are you gonna do? You gonna do anything different this coming week? Like, you throw a couple bullpens?
Yeah, probably just a light one or a heavy one, 2 light ones. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Just go from there.
You said you didn't feel quite as consistent this season as the numbers might have looked, but the numbers do. I mean, it's the best numbers you've had. Did this feel like the strongest regular season of your career?
When I step back and look at it, yeah, probably so. I felt a little more dominant than 21, but not really worried about that. So, just, like I said, just worried about winning some games.
You're thinking, like, I remember back in spring training, you were throwing a split and learning to throw a split. How much do you think like that helped?
Yeah, I think it definitely helps, especially against lefties. You know, there's our game plan coming in. Talked to Caleb a lot this offseason, trying to get a game plan for lefties, and I think that was definitely a factor this year. The more I threw it, the more comfortable I got with it, and today probably felt the best, honestly, with it. So.
Thank you.